Welcome to the Business Legends Podcast, where we interview business leaders and entrepreneurs so that you can learn from their mistakes, grow your own inspiration, and pump up your bottom line. My name is Reese, the host of the show, along with my co-host, Mr. Christian Webb, CEO of Business Marketing Solutions Group. Today we are joined with Terry Anderson. Terry here owns 2 Grease Monkeys, is that correct? And we share a networking group together. Terry, thank you so much for joining us this morning. So when did you originally get into Grease Monkeys? What was the year?
2014.
2014, yeah. Okay. And the original one was the Huntersville, is that right?
Location. Uh-huh.
Okay.
We purchased that one from Grease Monkey International in
Sweet.
2014 at the very end, New Year's Eve.
Yep.
Actually. And
that's a weird day to close on something.
Isn't it? Actually, though, think about it. It's finality. It's a great end of one year and a great new beginning.
Yeah, I mean, that made your accounting purposes pretty simple, too, I guess.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
it was very easy to do.
So did you guys go out and party that night, or were you just all sweating bullets from owning a new business and all the above?
The second, sweating bullets.
Yeah.
But we did enjoy New Year's Eve and celebrating the fact that we finally closed on the business, because it was a long, arduous couple of months to get there.
Yeah.
So it was a great celebration.
I imagine so. That's such an interesting day to start. That's like starting something on July 4th or St. Patrick's Day or something like that.
Our New Year's resolution is to own and run a successful
business. Okay, well, now let's define successful, shall we?
Oh. Yeah. Like what's what are our metrics for that stuff? Grease Monkeys is a franchise. You said yourself you purchased from International. So what made you choose that as as the franchise for you guys?
It's kind of a funny story. So my husband he grew up working on cars. He and his 2 older brothers and his dad, they built, I don't know if you're familiar with the movie Chitty Chitty Bang Bang.
Oh, yes.
So they built that car.
Flying car.
The flying car.
No,
it did not fly.
They built a flying car.
It did not fly.
Oh.
No, it did not fly.
Why would you tease Christian like that?
Sorry, I didn't mean to. I know. Did you see his eyes? They were like, ding.
Yeah.
You're beautiful. Oh, no, tell me more.
He knew exactly what you're talking about.
Does he still have it?
No, we do not still have it. But he has always grown up with a passion for cars. He has enjoyed cars. He's enjoyed taking apart, the little kid that took mom's toaster apart to put it back together just to see how it worked. Yeah, that was him.
That was him.
He used to do those types of things as well. And cars were just his passion. And so in 2013, 2014, he took a break from corporate and said, I can no longer do this life. In corporate life, we got to come up with something. One morning he looked at me and said, we're going to own car shops.
Wow.
To which I said, oh, really? How?
Yeah, how?
And he did his due diligence, did his research. I introduced him to a couple of key people that I networked with at the time, and they ventured off on their own. And the next thing I knew, we were signing documents to own a Grease Monkey. So
wow.
I think there's something really powerful there when you said how. I think right there is something a lot of people miss. So when people go to start businesses and they go to take something down, they're like, we can't afford it, we can't do that, we don't have the time.
Right.
But instead of doing that, you said how.
Yeah.
And that's what sparked all these different ways to conquer that. Now you have multiple Grease Monkeys.
Yes. Yep. Now we have multiples. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're right. And that was my thing. My first impression, my first thought was, we've never owned a business. I know nothing about a business or owning a business or running a business. I don't know anything about cars. I mean, I probably know more than most females that's not in the industry.
Yeah.
But that's because growing up with a brother or father that made me change my own oil and change my own tires, I think gave me some information there. But I had no idea where the financing would come from, how we were going to do this piece, what's it going to look like financially and time-wise for us and our family. And that's where having a degree in finance, he took off and he ran with it.
You said how and he came up with it.
Yep. That's amazing. Yep. So you went from Huntersville, and then what was your next location?
Pineville.
Okay, and those are your locations now,
Those are the
correct?
2 that we have, yeah.
Okay.
And we stopped there. It's our parent company that owns Grease Monkey.
Gotcha.
It's called Paint Industries.
Interesting.
Stands for Paul, Alexandra, Terry, and Emily. So
Okay.
4 members in our family.
Oh, okay.
And this was my husband's doing. I have to give him all the credit.
Yeah.
There was the creative piece to him. He did that. So we have Paint Industries and Paint Ventures. Paint Industries owns the 2 Grease Monkey franchises. Paint Ventures owns the land and the building that the Grease Monkey Huntersville sits on.
Oh, there you go.
One of his grand ideas was that we would own the land and the building, and then the next one that we would do, Grease Monkey 3, would either be we would purchase land.
I mean, it's genius. You're paying yourself rent.
Yes.
And if you ever do sell it for something else, you literally can just rent it out to whoever takes the property after.
Yep.
That's where we're at.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's a very clever name too, Pate. I like that.
Yeah, and we're thinking about things, and we're thinking about future. We're not spring chickens any longer, so we need to think about our future and how are we going to retire.
Yep.
I took my retirement that I had, and we put it down into my faith on Him and building this business, and He's done it. Yeah. So we need to know how we're going to rebuild that, how are we going to repay that, and what are we going to live on in the future. We're not going to.
You chose the better option between that and an IRA. So.
I have to agree.
Yeah,
I have to agree.
So what made you decide to do the second Grease Monkey as well? I mean, did the opportunity just come along and you couldn't pass it up? Or?
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
That opportunity was there. Grease Monkey International knew about it. It was not a Grease Monkey. It was AA Tune. It was owned by a couple of brothers. And so they were ready to be done. They were moving back to Jordan and said enough already. So they put the business up for sale. And Grease Monkey International got wind of it, came to us and said, hey, you talked about owning multiples. Yeah. Here's one. I think it'll be great. Mm-hmm. The traffic patterns are awesome for it. And you could grow this. If you do half of what you've done in Huntersville, then you should be able to do really well in Pineville. So we have.
Yeah.
We struggled. I told you we struggled at first because we bought it. We bought the first Grease Monkey, opened it July 2nd, 2015 under us. Mm-hmm. And then, January 2nd and July 2nd, we bought the second Grease Monkey. But then we had to change it. It was AA Tune. Yeah. It was under Econoloop. We had to change it to a Grease Monkey. Mm-hmm. And so that transition and that rebranding process was also another step that we had.
It's costly.
Yeah.
No information. Exactly. No information. We had no idea what the costs were going to be. We had no idea what the impact was going to be. We also had no idea what the reputation of the previous shop was in that area. Yeah. So, a lot of things to learn and overcome.
Yeah. It seems like, between talking to you now, talking to you at the coffee shop previous to this, it seems like the second Grease Monkey location came with a lot more difficulty because a lot of maybe unexpected variables. Yes. Would you agree with that? Is that how that went? Or
wholeheartedly, 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah, there were several more variables. One, we were in a different market, trying to provide the same solutions and services to customers there, but it was a different customer base. They were used to having services provided in one way, in one fashion, which was not the Grease Monkey way. Mm-hmm. And we were trying to transition and to go with the Grease Monkey way and educate them primarily on what it could be like. So there was that challenge. There was the reputation of the previous shop owners. That was a challenge for us as well. So, it came quite a few shocks and some learning experiences, which we've so far overcome.
Yeah, that's amazing that you've since overcome it too. When you decide to finally retire, you can look back and say, this is something we built out of whatever it was, and, into something different. Or maybe you'll have several more locations and several more stories to tell from there as well. So
that's what we're hoping for.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's interesting. One of the things we talked about at coffee that I think would just be brilliant to touch on is vocational positions in jobs. Mm-hmm. It seems like there's a huge lack. Christian, for example, knows an electrician that just can't seem to not get work. And in your industry, getting down and dirty, working on cars and grease and oil and things like that. You said that can be sometimes one of your biggest challenges. Can you touch on that a little bit?
Yeah, absolutely. Personnel, vocational trade, that is our biggest challenge. And as you've seen or started to see, like in the schools, they're now encouraging kids, they're saying it's not bad that you don't want to go to college or you don't know what you want to do because we need tradespeople. And I think because the previous generation and a generation before that, it was preached, go to school, go to college, do something with your life. You're not anything unless you go to college and get a degree. So there was kind of a negative connotation to the trades. Now we're pushing kids to do a trade. We don't have enough tradespeople. Those people are aging out, they're retiring, and so we don't have enough tradespeople. Yeah. There's not a lot of education for the trades, so vocational schools and that type of stuff. So for us to find qualified personnel is very difficult.
I saw a scary stat. It was like the average plumbing contractor that owns his own company was 54 years old.
Yeah.
Wow.
And I was like, that's like what are we gonna do here? And like when they decided
absolutely.
It's time to retire.
Yeah. and those
I'm not
are the
doing
same
my own plumbing. Like,
exactly.
Yeah,
those are the same people that have urged their children to go to college. Don't do what I do. Go get a degree.
It's too hard work.
Go do. It's too hard. It's too difficult to run your own business. Yeah. But we've also seen a lot of entrepreneurs spark up lately.
Yep.
You know, there's a lot more businesses that are for people, and that's more in, I guess, kind of the millennial category. Not so much the baby boomers, but more, I think, of the millennials, and then the later generations are starting to do their own business because they've decided they don't want to go work for corporate America. You know, they don't want to go work for the man,
Yep.
so to speak. They want to do something different with their life. They want to be in control of their life.
Yep.
But we have people that are, we have a really small pool, getting back to the Grease Monkeys and what we're dealing with on the personnel side, we have a really small pool of people because we have no vocational schools to give them the education and the training or the hands-on experience.
If we keep doing that, I think we're going to get to a point where you're going to walk in for an oil change and it's going to be $240. Because you have to pay the mechanics.
And hopefully it is for
$40 an
Terry.
hour.
We got the Terry hookup, so you know
Yeah,
it'll
there
be
you go.
it'll be
Get that Terry
$230 for
discount.
us, you know.
Yeah.
But you know,
And you know, there's the blue discount. And then there's
There you
also
go, there you go.
Wednesday's
That's what I'm
Ladies'
talking about.
Day, so, you know.
there you
I mean,
go.
because
Send your
sooner
wife
or
in.
later they're going to be able to name their price.
Yeah.
If you're going to run a business, you're going to have to base your price around who you can hire. If it keeps going that route,
Absolutely.
hopefully it goes the other direction. But I
Yeah.
mean,
So bringing it back to Grease Monkeys, bringing it back to you, Terry. Let's say we have a new young entrepreneur coming up, and we're speaking to the heart of that person. What was the definitive thing that made you take that dive, or maybe your husband approaching you with that?
What really pushed him in that way is he stepped out of corporate, was convinced by one of his suppliers at that point in time to step out of corporate and kind of be the North American arm of of their business. And he did that because it was kind of in the same field, same industry. And he did that for a while. And it was great, and he enjoyed it. But he says, and I asked him, what did you learn? What was your greatest failure, and what did you learn from it? And his statement was not choosing my business partners wisely, not being wiser in choosing my business partners, and being careful in how much trust and faith you put into those people.
Interesting.
So as an entrepreneur, that is one thing that you have to know the relationship, and you have to know each other well, and you have to be honest and open about who you really are as a person and what your expectations are out of life and what your expectations are out of a partnership. And this is one of the reasons that Pate Industries, we are a minority-owned, woman-owned business. We are not partners. He runs those shops. I do my thing. So it's one of those things. I do the networking part of it and the marketing part. But if I had something to say to a young entrepreneur coming up, depending on their age, have faith in yourself. Believe that you can accomplish it against all odds, and be passionate about what you want to accomplish, as well as being realistic about what you can and what you know enough to know yourself that you know when you need help, and ask for it.
That is some great advice. We got to end it there for sure. That's like the exclamation point at the end of a podcast. Terry, our guest today. Terry, I like to ask one really silly question at the end of it, and I think this one is going to be great.
Okay.
If you were going to be any character on SpongeBob, who do you think you'd be?
Who would I be if I were any character on SpongeBob?
well, the only one that ran a shop was the crab.
Mr. Krabs?
Mr. Crab.
Krabs. He would be
Yeah,
like
and I
that.
liked Mr. Crab, but he was really crabby.
He was crabby.
He really was crabby. I think I would like to go through life, and I can't remember his name.
I'll help you out. I got this.
Yeah. Who's the other character? Not SpongeBob.
Patrick, Squidward.
Patrick.
Patrick, you need Patrick?
I'd be Patrick.
I think I'd want to be Patrick too, because he's just always having a good time.
Patrick loves life.
bouncing
Super
around.
innocent, always having a good time.
Always.
enjoying it.
Yeah. You know, what you don't know won't hurt you.
Right. That's perfect. That's
I'd
perfect.
be Squidward.
Squidward? No, actually, probably I'd be Squidward. I mean,
Reese is like the realist, pessimistic of the group. He's
Yeah.
like,
Okay, he's a Squidward.
no,
He's a Squidward.
but in our company, I'll tell you, Christian is SpongeBob and
Yeah.
I am Squidward because
I'm the innovative dreamer.
because Christian will come
But somehow
into
I beat gods at making hamburgers.
yeah he'll right.
You've seen that episode. haven't you?
Yeah.
I knew it's.
Yes, of course you have. Christian will come into my office and he'll be like, hey Squidward, I got blah 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 blah. Like, go away, SpongeBob. That's definitely us for
Yep.
sure, and I hate that about me, but that's 100%. Terry Anderson, our guest today. Terry, if somebody needs to get their oil changed or wants the best customer service that you could possibly get from anybody that's going to assist them with their vehicle, how do they find you?
They can either come to Huntersville location,
Which
at
is address.
14935 Brown Mill Road, Huntersville, and they could come to Pineville at 9920 Yeah, 9920 Pineville-Matthews Rd.
Yep. Or better yet, just Google the Grease Monkeys.
Just Google Grease Monkey
Yeah.
near me.
And if you're going to any of their competitors, your next best turn is a U-turn.
There you go.
Thanks, Christian.
That is.
That was good.
Thank you very much for joining us today, Terry. That was too much.